Okay, wonderful. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Carnegie Mellon University's Campus Engagement Day. So I am Kate Livingston. I am a career consultant here within the Career and Professional Development Center, which is often referred to as the CPDC. We love an acronym. I'm also joined by Amanda Anderson, who is a career consultant in our Entertainment Technology Center. So today's session is going to feature speakers from programs at the university that prepare students for careers in creative arts and technology. So if that's what you're supposed to be at, you're in the right place. Each speaker will present a little bit about their department or program, and then we'll turn it over to you all, the employers, for any question and answering. So for the presentation portion, you can keep your microphones muted. But again, at the end, we will have some time for Q&A. So feel free as we go along to place your questions in the chat, and we will get to them then. So want to quickly introduce you to today's speakers. We have Drew Davidson from the Entertainment Technology Center. And then we also have Michael Bett from the Human-Computer Interaction Institute, specifically our MEDALS program, or our Masters of Educational Technology and Applied Learning Science. So thank you both for being here. And Drew, I'll go ahead and let you kick things off. If either of you want to share your screen, you should be able to, but go for it.
Cool, thank you. I'm just going to paint a picture with my words.
Perfect.
Hey everyone, thanks for taking the time for this little session. Really quickly about the Entertainment Technology Center. It is 22 years old now. It's been around for that long. It was co-founded out of the College of Fine Arts and the School of Computer Science. It was inspired by Randy Pausch, who's one of the co-founders, who some of you may have heard of. He got sort of internet famous for his last lecture. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend Googling Randy Pausch last lecture. It's a very inspirational talk that is up on YouTube that he gave here on campus when he was dying of pancreatic cancer. But it was a very inspirational talk. But Randy did a sabbatical at Disney Imagineering, and he was surprised by how they were just throwing disciplines together and making stuff. And he was like, we should do that in an academic context. And so that was sort of like the inspiration for the ETC. So that started it as a professional graduate program, kind of like an MBA. We reward a master's in entertainment technology, which is unique in the world. But it also helps me tell people what we're not. So if you're somebody who's like looking to work on deepening your sort of technical experience, and that's where you really want to dive into, that maybe is a master's of science or PhD, or if you just want to work on your art portfolio on your own, that's probably an MFA, or if you just like writing papers, it's probably an MA. But we are really closely aligned to MBA, and that's sort of like professional focus. But MBAs are really more around like the business and finance aspects, where we're really focused on design and development, the creative problem solving that teams do together. So really quickly, we actually try, because of our interdisciplinary background, we really do have an interdisciplinary student body, which is a big part of our strengths, but also our challenges, in that we try to recruit about 40% of our students out of technical backgrounds. So it's computer science, engineering, mechanical engineering, you name it. And then about 40% out of artistic backgrounds, 2D, 3D, visual effects, graphic design. And then in the middle, we have people from all over: music, theater, creative writing, business. We have biology majors. And the whole idea is getting you together on teams and having to make things as a team together as you collaborate and try to problem solve towards certain goals. And as those students come in, and we take, just to give you a sense, it's a 2-year program. We take about 75, 80 students a year as I start hitting you with stats. As the students come in, they take four core classes together. One is building virtual worlds. Class that was pioneered with Randy Pausch, which is a rapid prototyping class where they get put on teams of 5, and they have 2 weeks to make something go, and then shuffle, new teams, shuffle, go, shuffle, go. So it's all about crazy, crunchy timelines with people you never worked with before. And you're seduced by all the technology that you get to use in that class, but it's really about how to work with people and how to communicate clearly and how to try to collaborate successfully. At the same time, we give you the challenge of working in this other class called visual story, because we really believe that storytelling is a way that we make sense of all of our experiences. And so this class focuses on how the language of cinema through the visuals and audio are a very powerful way to communicate stories and narratives. And they're on teams that semester where they're stuck all semester long. So in that class, it's like, I love my team, yay. Or it's like, this team's so hard, what do I do? And then you're in this other classroom, like switch, 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 switch. And so you're learning across 2 classes how to balance time, how to balance teams and manage that. At the same time, since we're professionally focused, we teach a class called Fundamentals that Amanda helps out with, where we sort of talk about sort of like, okay, you want to come in and become a creative professional. Here's like starting to think about ways to develop in both those aspects in terms of your creativity and also your professionalism as you go out, hopefully, into the industry and take lead in the field at large. And then last but not least, everybody goes through improvisational acting, not to be funny or better actors or comedians, but to think about the whole yes and philosophy, thinking about how to share credits, share ideas. And we hope that translates above and beyond improv, where you're on stage together and it's visceral when things aren't going well, to when you're working on a project or doing some sort of group work together, that you serve the goals of the project as opposed to trying to like really focus on just your part of the project. We found that's been a very special part of our curriculum since day one. It was actually recommended to us by Ed Catmull back in the day from Pixar as a way to sort of like break down the barriers between disciplines. We find that is actually very true and proves forward to this day. That semester is really intense and leads on to semester-long projects. And these projects can be sponsored by external clients, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit groups, where we do like some R&D work with the clients to try to develop playable prototypes or proofs of concepts working around there. And for the students, it's really about the design challenge that they tackle together. And for the clients, it's really about trying to just tap into all the creativity that a student team can generate for them and try to explore an issue co-creatively. They also can take electives, and there's a co-op program that we have where during our second year, students are eligible to go to spend a semester as full-time employees at companies. We're also very supportive of summer internship programs. And, since the ETC is sort of unique in its focus, that's like Amanda is joining us, because she sort of serves above and beyond CMU's offerings in terms of supporting students in their career aspirations. The ETC has somebody like Amanda on board to sit down with them and think about how they can sort of position themselves to move forward successfully from here. And what we have found across time is what happens as students go through our program and our curriculum is they become fearless, tackling things they've never done before. And they're able to hit the ground running with the team almost immediately and contribute in a very collaborative fashion, which we think puts them in really good stead as they go out into the industries of either, the creative industries or the tech industries, because current graduates are projecting 50 or 60-year careers. So that means you're probably going to have to do something you've never done before somewhere in your career at a company that doesn't even exist currently. And so they're going to have to get really comfortable if they want to stay in that. And I like to argue with students, if they know exactly what they want to do and why they're doing it, they're not actually doing anything creative at all. And so we try to, as you go into, and this is where improv puts you in good stead as well. It's like, as you start pushing into those risky zones of I'm not sure what the result will be. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. You have to explore that together and iterate your way towards that. We find that's a very powerful skill set that our students develop. And sometimes, not to be overly stereotypical, like our technical students will go, why do we focus so much on all these soft skills? And I like to chat with them about how it's less about soft skills and more about durable skills. These skills that will last you your whole career, regardless of what field you're in. Like collaboration and communication and teamwork, and like lifelong learning skills, understanding how to develop yourself across your career. We find those are very durable skills that will set you up forever. And so that's a big part of our program, where it's more about leadership and innovation and less about learning the tools. We're not really interested in teaching them the tools, because we hope they can figure out whatever tool they need to as they move forward across their career. And so I think that's the ETC in a nutshell. We really try to focus on ways to sort of educate, inspire, and engage our students, and also help them go out as they go out and do the next big thing out there. And they so far haven't let us down to date. So hope that helps give you a little overview. Short and sweet.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stu. I appreciate that. I love that. I'm going to use that, not as soft skills, but durable skills. Going to jot that one down. But thank you so much. And as I said earlier, if you all have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, or after Michael's presentation, you can even unmute and we can all just have more of a conversation as well, especially since we have a small group today. But Michael, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, I have an MBA, so I am going to be using slides. Sorry, Drew. Let me start the slideshow, and then I will share my screen. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay. So I am Michael Bett. I'm the Managing Director for the Master's of Educational Technology and Applied Learning Science program, as we see up here. I'm also the managing director for Learn Lab, which was our NSF funded center. For 12 years, we took $48 million from the National Science Foundation and did research on how to make learning more effective. And talk a little about those in a little bit. We are housed in the Human Computer Interaction Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. I put the slides in the chat. The links are live in case you want to go to any of these websites. Sorry, I have to move the Zoom window. At HCI, we offer multidisciplinary undergraduate and graduate educational programs that emphasize technology for the benefit of people and society. To that end, our PhD programs focus on social computing, research through design, i.e. improving design, technical HCI, which you might think of something as where you're interfacing yourself with a computer or a machine. I know I have a coffee maker where the up and the down arrows are on the wrong side. So, things like that are pretty common. Metals is one of our sustainability efforts from Learn Lab. We also offer Bachelor's of Science in Human-Computer Interaction that's devoted to teaching students design, implementation, evaluation, and interactive computer-based services and applications. Joint with the Language Technology Institute, we also offer a Master's of Computational Data Science, which, as you might imagine, is a data analytics master's degree. So I'd like to offer you a very warm welcome from our learning science faculty. I'm going to dive in and give you a view of the Metals program from 10,000 feet. So this is one of my favorite sayings: intuition is a great place to start, but a lousy place to end up, which unfortunately has been how traditional instruction has been created and delivered. In the Metals program in HII, we're all about learning engineering, and we're here to change that. So I'm going to play a short video that explains what learning engineering is. Hopefully you should be able to hear this.
Learning engineering is a term pioneered by Herb Simon here at Carnegie Mellon University. It's part of how we make CMU classes effective, whether they're in person, remote, or hybrid. We make learning something you can observe. Educators can measure how students are doing and change the course as they go along, so that teachers and students are always on the same page. First, we build models for how we think people learn, and we put those models into practice in the classroom. Then, we use student data to improve our classes and to improve our model. That's dynamic data-guided teaching. We've been using this approach for decades, and we found that not only can students learn concepts much faster, but more importantly, we can give them a better learning experience. With learning engineering, we make classes better every time we teach them, and we work together with our students to tackle the kinds of big problems that are the hallmark of Carnegie Mellon education.
So in a nutshell, that's what the Metals program is all about. It's a one-year interdisciplinary master's program. And we train our graduate students to become learning engineers or learning experience designers. Graduates are applying the science of learning principles, evidence-based research, qualitative and quantitative cognitive task analysis, and data-driven methods to design, create, and improve educational resources and technologies that enable the students to and the instructors to succeed. And the program culminates with a 7-month capstone project for external client. This is all very unique in that the students are working with industry and faculty mentors in a interdisciplinary based team to develop a project very much like a consulting project from ideation through a high fidelity prototype. And our graduates are passionate about developing better learning outcomes. They are really answering Nobel laureate and CMU professor Herb Simon's observation that improvement in education will require converting teaching from a solo sport to a community-based research activity. This is a typical curriculum for our students. They're learning basic design principles, how to create a curriculum, the basics of design, how to create educational technology online. And then they also go through the 7-month capstone project over the spring and summer. And our graduates work in teams, confronting real-world problems, engineering and implementing effective solutions. Almost all course projects are done in teams. Our idea is that it should be as real to what they're going to experience after graduation. And they know how we train them, so they know how to use evidence-based research to implement innovative, effective, and desirable educational solutions. They apply cognitive and learning science principles to make an effective research-informed instructional design decision. And they're trained to develop continuous improvement programs. This is the real difference in learning engineering, that they are collecting the data from the courses and then identifying both best practices and opportunities to change. I could talk for hours on that, but I'll spare you. And our graduates end up becoming evaluators of educational technology, curriculum developers, learning technology policymakers, consultants, entrepreneurs, as well as learning engineer and learning research designers. And the students, the idea of this project is that because you're coming in with different backgrounds, you're going to gain a breadth of experience in a wide number of fields, but we will also expand your depth of expertise in the field that you have. We're not going to turn a psychologist into a software engineer in 1 year, or a software engineer into a designer in 1 year, but they will be able to have the expertise and the knowledge of in the field that they can talk and work with one another. And the major focus of the program is our capstone project. Basically, as I said, we're working together for an external sponsor, employing evidence-based scientific principles and methods to develop a high-fidelity prototype. And this is not your mother's capstone. It's structured like a consulting project with an interdisciplinary team that employs learning engineering with start to finish. We have 2 faculty advisors who are working with the students. We have an alumni mentor who's gone through this before, a corporate sponsor, and subject matter experts who are all part of the team. And the students are putting about 6,000 hours of effort in this project. Faculty can commit an additional 3 to 5 hours a week, and alumni mentors are typically about 2 hours a week. So it's the very typical sort of project timeline, as you might expect, that the students are doing background research, then they're doing interviews and literature reviews, and they're iterating on that. And they are then putting things together, a lot of affinity diagrams going on here, starting to do some initial designs that are presented to the sponsors. Then the sponsor picks the designs or portions of the designs that they like, and the students iterate over that over the summer, first creating a low fidelity prototype. They do more user research, then create a mid fidelity prototype, do more user research, and then finally produce a high fidelity prototype. And this is just a slide that has our current and past capstone sponsors, some example projects, and I will leave it at that. So I will stop my.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. I am going to throw in the chat for everyone. I feel like this was helpful. I participated in the computer science session earlier today. So if you haven't seen this today, maybe you already have in any of the sessions that you've attended, employers, but wanted to share just our post-grad dashboard that we have on our CMU CPDC site, which can show the MEDALS program and kind of what their outcomes are. And then I know, and Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also found this link that has some of your statistics as well and information just for employer resources within the ETC also.
Great, thank you.
Yes. But wanted to open it up now to our employers for questions. As I said earlier, feel free to place them in the chat, or small crew, you can unmute and ask your question yourself to Michael or Drew as well.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. You know, I've recruited from the ETC before, and it seems there was a changeover in staffing. So initially, I think when we recruited, I think 2 years ago, there was some sort of placement with students into companies. And then after they would, you know, if they wanted to stay on, they could. But I don't know that happened this year. You know, we tried to recruit for the past year, and you know, we didn't get any invitations or events that the HC was hosting, especially for design and communication students that we usually recruit. So what are the opportunities now?
Well, I could defer to Amanda. I'm sorry, somehow maybe you got lost in the mixer somehow during the pandemic, and we did have staffing turnover. But Amanda, who's on this call with us as well, is our new Associate Director of Career Services. And so happy to reconnect and help you connect with our students. If you have open positions right now, if you just send them to us, we'll get them posted and out to students immediately, for sure. And recent alums, depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, we have, yeah, you know, because the student we had recruited actually did really well because of all these projects that she had exposure to. So one of our concerns is with recruiting recent grads is, you know, we're a company that we need the right expertise. We don't really have, you know, time to train. And so it was good to see that she was able to cope and did really well, actually. So sure, who should I email that to?
So that would be me.
Okay.
And I would share that information out. Drew, I don't recall hearing about like a placement program. I think it's.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, it's more just like going through our career services person. We didn't really have.
Yeah, and if we share that opportunity out to our students, and then if they are interested, they have the opportunity to apply.
Okay. Yeah.
Amanda, do you want to put your contact information maybe in the chat if you're able to?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So there are no more fall placements or spring placements. It's just now those who've graduated. Right?
I think you're referring to our co-op program then, possibly. We definitely have that running. I'm sorry, it might just be word salad, but we do offer academically fall and spring co-ops where students are allowed to be full-time engaged while also being a student as well. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Still do that. And the same thing. The only, like, from your side, the only difference would be we need somebody on a supervisory role who's willing to, at midterms and finals, share a little bit on their, you know, how they're exceeding or below expectations, hopefully exceeding. And other than that, it's very similar to running an internship. I mean, it depends on the company. Some companies have a distinct internship and co-op programs, but other ones it's the same difference. But we're happy to, you know, share that type of information with students as well. Co-op's only restriction is it kind of has to line up with the semester dates.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Amanda about all of that then. So
yeah, and sorry we lost touch. Happy to reconnect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I think we have a few questions. Damola?
Yes, I just wanted to just say hello to Drew and Michael. I've worked with both of them and just sharing with other people on the call. Both of their departments are exceptionally great to work with. I did a medals program with our curriculum with Michael this past semester. I've done so much with Drew. This is our second call today. He's our faculty advisor, actually. We are Carnegie Mellon startup, so I'm just here to just give support. And for other employers who are on the call, their students are exceptional. The work that I've gotten has been tremendous. We did a project like what Drew was talking about, and we've built that into an interactive app. I had some students from ETC do some design study and research this past semester based on a spring project we did last year that helped us get some funding with RK Mellon. So they're both great people to work with. And Amanda, it's nice to meet you finally beyond the emails. And that's just what I'm here for today, just to lend support and advocate the work that both departments are doing.
Well, we appreciate that. And for everyone else, we didn't even pay him.
I know.
So I appreciate you saying that. Juan, you also have a question.
Yes, I really like the concentration on those soft skills and durable skills. Super extremely important. You know, kind of go hand in hand with the the whole EQ, emotional quotient.
Yeah.
You know, instead of the IQ, and how that's a better indicator, right? Of, I guess, of whatever you want to blanket as success later on, right, in your career. I had a question about the improv acting though. How do you apply that? Did you say do they take a class, or is that part of the class? And how do you I guess, how do you manage that? What kinds of things do they do there?
Yes, they actually everybody goes through an improvisational class together, depending on, usually with like 80 students, and it breaks into 3 sections that she rotates around. A professor named Brenda Baker Harger teaches that class. She's actually a CMU alum out of drama as well. And her expertise is in improvisational acting, but she looks at it more as a paradigm than as like a on-stage activity. It's very similar skills that you would actually teach actors and actresses, but the focus is more around the real-time problem solving that you're having to do. That's very visceral. Like I was saying, when you're on stage together and you're not playing well, you feel it, and she likes to say that, 2 things I think she says that are really crucial is there's a distinction between having fun playing and being fun to play with. And improv, really, the skill is more towards the latter than the former. And also that no amount of technology will solve a bad idea. And so one of the things that improv helps you do is start together working through towards ideas that are working better. So we sort of like really lean on that. And it also emphasizes storytelling in a way that we find is really powerful as well. We think of interactivity coming more out of the sort of like dramatic performing arts as opposed to cinematic. In those ways, in that type of like interactivity and agency. So I think by going through that class and then having a lot, like we really do sort of align our curriculum across that first semester where we're reinforcing what we know she's teaching that week in the other classes to really help, hopefully, students understand how it transfers into their creative work as they're trying to do these collaborative projects together on teams. And then she also offers in future semesters more advanced versions to dig more deeply, but also workshops as they're working on projects to help them just, again, try to make that connection of like, as you're problem solving, this is a great paradigm to do this very collaboratively and very supportively, and get at the good ideas and sort of more successfully navigate creative work towards positive results, as opposed to, because sometimes when you're doing creative work, you're going to end up with something that doesn't work. The game's not like, I can't tell you how many times the team will go, well, the game works, and we're like, but the game theoretically works, but it's not engaging. It's not, people are not enjoying playing it. It's very broken, and so it's like you got to keep iterating. Or sometimes they're like, but we made it work.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah,
we have a lot of, especially with new employees. A lot of times they're very technically capable, but not so much when they've got to present, or they've got to stand in front of customers, or give a report or whatever. And I think those improv skills would really come in handy in it. Thank you.
Well, like just building on what you said, we require them to present regularly because we want them to be very comfortable talking about what they're doing and why. And we found, again, when we hear from employers coming back, it's like, oh, your students are very comfortable talking and very comfortable sharing what they're up to and trying to explain it to somebody who might not come from their background. So that, like, that sort of cross-disciplinary requirement of communicating builds on the improv as well.
Yeah, we were we were presenting once to military generals, and a computer science military general said, hey guys, can you geek it down a little bit? And so that was, I've always kind of used that because, I mean, the presentation was awesome, very technically sound, but the folks in the room were not necessarily very technical. And so it was just flying through them. And so I think that's great that you're doing that. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. And I know, Michael, just from the Metals program or even the MHCI program, the Masters of Human Computer Interaction, those capstone projects are a great experience for that too, constantly presenting to clients, meeting with clients, etc., which is great.
I bet.
Yeah, it's the one time the students, if they're going to do a learning engineering project correctly, they're going to do it from start to finish using the discipline and no shortcuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. We have another question, Ariana.
Hi there. My name is Ariana. I represent the interests of UE Group, a UX and research design agency here in San Jose, California. We actually recently hired one of Carnegie Mellon's graduates, so we're taking a peek into your HCI program. Yeah, it was actually an HCI minor, major in business, so that was a little interesting. I just wanted to know if you could speak just a little bit more about the foundational elements of the HCI program in terms of things like perception, cognition, ergonomics engineering for high stakes agency work that deals with companies like Lockheed Martin, where we're designing for fighter jets. It's important that our students are not, they have that foundation. And if you could speak to that a little bit, that'd be really great. Yeah.
So are you looking for more of a master's student or undergraduate?
Well, I am a master's student, so I always, advocate for master's students, but we did hire an undergraduate student. So maybe you could speak a little bit about the differences, is there what each, degree has to offer, basically?
I can speak a little because that's actually our sister program, but I will do my best. So the MHCI program, the Masters in Human Computer Interaction, it is really focused on, it's a one-year program like the Metals program. So it's very short and it's very intense. And the students are coming in with a variety of different backgrounds as well. But the idea is that the students are going to be trained to be UX designers, UX researchers, after they graduate from the program. Let's see, there is definitely a focus on the on user experience design, user-centered research. There are a set of core courses that the students are required to take, but the students are able to really define their own major, their own program through their electives. I believe they are allowed to take 4 or 5 electives in that program. I just want to find the page that has their curriculum on that. Is that helpful at all, or I am just shooting in the dark for you?
No worries. That was super helpful. They may have spoken earlier before, but I didn't go to the earlier meeting, so I'll have to look at the schedule again just to be sure. But that was actually very helpful. Thank you so much.
Let me find you the page too. I'll put it in the chat in a minute. That has the curriculum for the program, and that's probably here's curriculum. Okay.
Yeah, and Ariana, I'll also put my email in the chat. Feel free to email me. I also support their program. So I'm happy to connect you to the right people. And also, again, just as Amanda said earlier, if you also have job postings or anything like that, I can get you set up in Handshake and share those out as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and copy that over.
Yeah, and most of for the undergraduates, the program is generally, students cannot major in human computer interaction. So the student that you hired who came in with a bachelor's in business, that's either his MHCI, his HCI degree is either going to be a second major or it's going to be a minor.
Yeah, it was a minor in each.
Okay, yep, and that's totally fine. Yep.
I was just popping my email in chat. If anybody has any follow-up questions, I'm happy to follow up as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Drew. Any other questions from our employers today? All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending. Michael, Drew, and Amanda, thanks so much for joining me today and presenting. And to everyone on the call, appreciate you just joining us in general for Campus Engagement Day today. We hope you had some good information sharing and learned a little bit more about CMU and our various disciplines and programs as well. Again, our information's in the chat. Feel free to copy it over now, but have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Bye-bye.
you.